Warning, this podcast contains spoilers and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Scaredy Cat, have a scary chat. Scaredy Cat with Rob and Ash.
Welcome back to Scaredy Cat. I'm Robbie,
And I'm Ash.
and this is the podcast for one person who loves horror films,
And someone else who would rather not.
gets to watch them, and talk about them. How are you, Ashley?
I'm doing
Did
okay.
I catch you mid-S?
You did. I'm doing all right. How are you?
What were you gonna say?
I really don't know. My foot is super itchy. I think I got an ant bite.
Oh. Well, this movie is kind of related to ant bites.
Is it?
Not at all.
Oh.
But, so it's really hard to find these Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Some of them you have to actually physically order and get on DVD, or in some cases VHS.
Are we getting a VHS?
No, we don't have a VHS player.
We could find
We
one.
should.
We should, because I have one VHS tape that I've wanted to watch for years that we can't because I don't have a tape player.
Is it Birdcage?
No, it's Barbie and the Rockers. It's my favorite movie when I was little.
Name one part of it.
There was a part where Barbie is a rocker and she goes into space and rocks in space. It's fucking awesome. It is fucking awesome. When my dad used to work nights, because my dad was like, in charge of the TV when he was home.
I know.
We watched a lot of sports, a lot of NASCAR, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So when my dad worked nights, my mom would just sort of let us watch whatever we wanted because, she didn't give a fuck. I mean, she gave a fuck, but she didn't care what was on TV. She just cared that we ate dinner and got bath and went to bed. We used to watch Barbie and the Rockers pretty much on repeat. But this was old school, so, you had to watch it and then rewind the VHS.
Yes.
And I fucking loved it.
So that does segue pretty well into the movie that we're going to do this week.
Oh, how fun.
This is a film that I loved as a child,
Okay.
and I would rent this movie all the time. I must have rented this movie 76 times.
That's a very specific number.
I was a very specific kid.
That's not true. You were an easy kid, is what your mom said.
If you put me in front of the movie and let me alone, I was happy. Or let me in my sandbox, I was happy.
Yeah. Just side note, parents out there, this weekend, we bought a $4 bag of play sand.
We did not.
Oh, our son did with his allowance money.
Our 5-year-old son has had it in his head that he wants to buy sand.
A lot, he was dying because he wanted to buy sand.
So I took him to Home Depot, and he purchased his own bag of play sand.
So we had a large planter that we had one little sprig of basil growing in. So we dumped the planter and we put our basil into a smaller thing, and then we put the fucking sand into this big long planter, and our children played peacefully in it the entire day today.
Not only them, but the neighbors came over.
Everyone was chill. No one was fighting. Sand is a fucking miracle. So, just sidebar, for the parents in the audience, buy some fucking sand. But make sure you don't leave it out because the cats will go pee-pee in it.
So my 2 joys as a child was, 3 joys. Soccer, playing my sandbox, and watching My Boyfriend's Back from 1993.
I am so incredibly shocked that your crazy evangelical parents were chill with letting you watch
I've thought about this.
horror movies.
I've thought about this a lot. The way that they looked at technology back then is the way that a lot of parents today look at the internet.
Oh
give
my
them
god,
a
that's
smartphone.
terrifying. They shouldn't be on it.
No,
because the internet's not for children.
give them a smartphone. What's the worst that could happen?
They could be abducted.
But a lot of parents out there are just go for it.
They could be abducted.
My parents were the same way with a VHS player. They never thought,
It's just so crazy. Your mom legit used to color out the bodies of the lingerie models in the Sears catalog.
I'm aware.
That is just bananas to me that they were just chill with letting you watch whatever you wanted to watch. You couldn't even watch The Simpsons.
Right, on TV.
That doesn't make any sense.
But if I could rent it from the movie store, I could bring it home and watch it. They never even looked at the box.
doesn't even make sense. Your parents were inconsistent. Anywho.
So what do you think it's about?
So I think that this movie is about a girl, we'll call her Sharon.
Mhm.
And Sharon is dating this dude. We'll name him Kevin.
Nabisco.
No, we'll name him Kevin.
Okay.
Because all boys in the 90s were
We're
named
boring.
Kevin.
Yeah, okay.
And, or Michael,
Or Nabisco.
or Matt, or Robert.
Maybe Crunch.
But we'll call him Kevin.
Captain.
No. So she's dating this dude. He dies. So because they're teenagers and they have a teenage type relationship, I mean, she's sad because she's a person, but like she moves on, right?
Mhm.
It takes her like 6-7 months, but then she gets over it. And well, I mean, she doesn't get over it. That sounds really crass, but like, or not crass, but harsh. Her eye is caught by a Spanish foreign exchange student. We'll call him Jean-Claude
Van
Damme.
Van Damme? I don't think he's Spanish.
So Jean-Claude
I think he's
is-
Austrian.
Shh. So Jean-Claude is like a really good at martial arts, and he's got like a wavy mullet thing going on, but he's still pretty sexy in like a 1993 kind of way. He wears boots a lot. Boots and like tight jeans. They start dating.
He's Belgian. Correction, he's Belgian.
Well, my Jean-Claude is not Belgian. He's from Spain. So put that
Okay.
in your pooper and light it on fire.
Okay.
So they get kind of serious. It's been like 7 months. And he decides to take her home to Spain over the summer so that she can meet his parents. Because even though they're only freshmen in high school, he has decided to propose to her because he's, clingy.
Well, it's high school. Why wouldn't you?
Right. I was proposed to at least 4 times during high school.
That was like day one.
True. But I am ridiculously adorable, so that could be part of it. And I have one of those cult of personalities, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm an all or nothing. Either you like me or you really don't.
Or
But-
you want to kill for you.
Right. Murder is my bag. For me, not me doing it. Anyways, that's not important. So,
Okay.
they're at the airport getting ready to board this plane to go to Spain.
Spaniard Airlines.
Sure. A Don Quixote.
And best of all.
No, stop. Shh. Don Quixote Airlines.
Okay.
And their logo is just a windmill.
Uh-huh.
And it's
Best of all is 93. So
pre
that means
9/11.
that means they could be at the gate having
Right.
this conversation.
Pre 9/11. They bought their tickets with cash at the counter the day
No.
they were leaving.
These tickets were given to them outside the gate by people who were kind enough to
Scalpers.
give them tickets. Like, that's 1993.
They're like, you guys are adorable. If you just give me your watch and your earrings, the dangly ones,
Yeah.
then I'll give you my plane ticket to go to
The
Spain.
flight attendant's like, you guys just made it. You come on in.
So, the joys of pre 9/11.
Yes.
Right before they get on the plane, this dude comes running up to them. This dude is covered in like dirt and is like a little bit decomposed, and it's fucking Kevin. And
The
apparently
decomposed guy, fucking Kevin, the dead Kevin. It's just
that was a crude hand gesture that you just made. I'm not going to tell
why are you
what just
fucking
happened.
my dead boyfriend?
So it's Kevin.
He's back, baby.
That's some sort of like really fucked up like puppetry going on.
It's just, this movie it starts off as a romance, and then it just turns into like some kind of weird morbid fucker running around fucking dead people.
Like
That's the kind of movie I would make.
like in the airport.
Yes.
So
Which also pre 9/11.
you can do
that
anything
shit.
in the airport. You don't even have to take off your shoes.
Sir, are you planning on checking that dead corpse? No.
Nope, it's gonna sit
Carry
with
on.
me.
Let's carry on.
This is
Get 'em, boom.
terrible. This is terrible. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And he's like, "Sharon." Did I name her Sharon or Karen? I
Sharon.
can't remember.
It's
Sharon. So he's like, "Sharon, you'll never believe this. I've been resurrected it's not a religious thing. There was some sort of supersonic pulse that radiated into the ground, and select people were brought back from the dead, and I'm one of them. And I'm here because I love you, and, you know, this guy is chasing me with his dick out of his pants, and I'm
Just
real
broke
scared.
free.
I'm really scared. Can you love me again? I know I'm dirty, and I have worms in my face, but I love you. And she's like, well, Kevin, like, you know, this is Nabisco, and, like, he's, like, not maggoty.
I thought we didn't. I
And
thought his name was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
See, you're mixing up your stories
I
here.
am. And she's like, Kevin, this is Jean-Claude, and he's, like, from Spain?
And he's traveled from the future.
And he's, like, real, like, non-dead.
He can do the splits.
We've, like, got, like, reservations. And while it's real chill to see you and shit, but, like,
Did people in the 90s talk like that?
I don't know, but they are right now.
Okay.
Like, heavy vocal fry. She's just like, so, I don't know. And he's like, so he just breaks down and starts crying. And then, like, his arm comes off because he's dead. And then she feels really bad. And Jean-Claude is like, let's just take him with us. You know, he's had a rough time. We'll buy him a plane ticket at the counter just now.
I can imagine no rougher time.
So the rest of the movie is just their adventures in Spain and them kind of becoming like a menage a trois to Sharon's dismay.
So there's a moral to your story.
Yeah, don't fuck dead people. Or don't date clingy guys. Because who's going to die and then come back and then see you with some hot Spanish guy and be like, well, I'm going to go, like, insert myself into her life. You would be like, oh, well, she's moved on. I'm going to just, like, go chill.
I'm sorry. If you resurrected from the dead with the sole purpose of getting your girlfriend back,
But he didn't do it on purpose. I told you there was a supersonic wave or whatever that brought select people back to life.
here's my prediction for this movie.
Ooh, we don't usually do this. And can you do a prediction if this is like one of your favorite movies from when you were a youth?
I remember renting it 6,000 times. No, 76 times, I believe I said. But I don't remember a goddamn thing about the movie.
It must be so good if you don't remember anything
But what
about
I'm
it.
expecting is a spark. Like at the opening credits.
Like for your relationship?
A spark in my memory that just connects all of the dots. And I'll spend the rest of the movie just reciting line by line the entire thing.
And it will be vaguely annoying.
That is my prediction.
That you'll be annoying throughout the entire movie.
If either one of those two happen, we'll talk about it. after
And if
this.
not, we're not going to talk about shit. We're not even going to come back.
Okay.
We're just going to leave it. And you'll never know.
All right. Well, yeah. Maybe.
Why are you doing the reading rainbow thing with
It's
your
McDonald's,
hands?
I think.
Why? What's happening?
What rainbow has a center?
I don't know. Everything has a center.
It leads out from one point to the
I
middle.
don't know. Why are you making a giant M?
Because there's the two storylines. Mine goes this way. Yours goes this way. If they meet at any point. All right, we're back. That was My Boyfriend's Back. Back.
You okay?
It's a lot of backs. It was originally called Johnny Zombie.
I'm glad they changed the name of it. Although this doesn't make any sense either.
What is that?
Because he's not her boyfriend.
You know those films that you love growing up? When you watch them, suddenly it all comes rushing back.
Mm-hmm.
This is not that film. It was like watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
I swear.
Strangely enough, that's how I felt also.
And I wish I had a time machine to go back and ask myself why I like this movie so much.
I can tell you why.
Why is that?
Boobs.
There weren't any boobies in it.
There was a hint of boob. Hint o' boob.
Hint o' boob. There was bit o' honey.
I think that 13-year-old little baby Robbie
How was there? There is a scene where the main
was
character,
bubbling with puberty
yeah,
and probably really enjoyed this, especially in your sexually repressed household.
yeah, I can see it. It starts off with Johnny. He's your average 35-year-old high schooler. This is a town where people are trapped in high school for the rest of their lives because the high schoolers
until
film-
they're in their late 40s, and then they put on high-waisted pants and sweaters and glasses, and then they become the adults.
we have a lot of times where they do a transition and it looks like a comic book page turning. Why did they throw it in this film randomly?
Well, they had an idea. It had nothing to do with the film, but everybody was like, you know what? We already did it and it looks cool, so just fuck it.
So anyway, so Johnny is love struck over.
Missy.
He's been like burning for her since he was like 5. Is that what you picked up?
Yes. Apparently
And he was too much of a weenie to ask her out.
Apparently she filled out in all the right ways that he had been reading about in the National Geographic.
Yes. However,
What the fuck does that even mean?
do it like they do it on the Discovery Channel, Ashley.
That has nothing to do with National Geographic.
Well, like animal ways. The comic book version chose to show an adult Johnny watching as a tiny girl transforms into a woman.
Yeah, that's troubling.
Which looked weird.
Yeah.
The way that they did that.
It was troubling.
Well, I mean, it kind of fit his character for the rest of the movie, though, because he was a bit of a creeper.
Well, I think that we had a different idea in the 90s of like what like romance was, right? Like now it's like, listen, I'm not interested, leave me alone. And then you're expected to leave the person alone,
Right.
because they're a human being and they said leave me alone. And so then you do.
But in the 90s...
In the 90s, it was more, please leave me alone. Oh, that means you really love me.
No means yes.
And there was also a weird, like, entitlement vibe where, like, he felt like she owed him some sort of a relationship because of no reason.
Well,
Like-
it was very much persistence. Like,
Yeah.
this is one of those persistence gets rewarded
Which-
commercials or movies.
I mean, listen, I've gone out with guys before just because they would not leave me alone. That's how we started dating. Sometimes it turns out, I'm just kidding, that's not why we started dating. But it never turns into a good situation. You know, if someone doesn't respect your personal boundaries from the get, it's not gonna get better.
Well,
after you validate them by going out on a date with them.
Isn't this how John Cusack built his career? Like, on persistence?
By just being a creepy entitled douchewad?
Yeah, standing outside somebody's window with a boombox.
Well, I think that was different. But, I mean, I really don't know. I've never actually seen Say Anything.
But, like, every John Cusack movie from the 90s was just him trying to get this girl that did not want anything to do with him.
Right. But, also, we get into, like, this weird area with Missy where she's dating this jock dude.
Played by Matthew Fox.
And he doesn't want her to hang out with Johnny. And so she, like, rebels against him.
Whereas in a lot of other films, the bullying happens, like, behind the girl's back. Like, if the boyfriend doesn't like somebody, he waits until she walks away, and then he, like, threatens the person. Or if he has, like, a henchman, the henchman gets them when they're not around the girl. That shit happens in front of her in this movie. And she only reacts to it after the fact.
It was strange.
Like, so her boyfriend, played by Matthew Fox, who has a henchman played by Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Which,
strangely enough,
he was like 12 or whatever.
you know what his performance struck me as?
Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Yeah. It felt like he was parodying every bully that ever picked on him as a kid. He had a backwards cap with like a little tuft of hair coming out the front, and he like hunched his shoulders over, and he would just say really obnoxious shit, and only in one-liners, and he would immediately get in his face and be really intense.
Yeah. At some points, it looked like he was doing like an Igor thing. Like, he was, like,
Yeah.
thumping his shoulder over and stuff.
He was definitely underutilized in this film.
Yes, for sure.
Or maybe it was his choice.
I don't
Maybe
think
that
so.
was his acting
I
choice.
think this was, like, youthful silliness.
So Johnny wants Missy. Missy doesn't care for him.
Johnny even has a dream.
Immediately.
Like
this is
it-
like scene 1.
Like a dream while he's in class, he goes to sleep. He has a dream that Missy approaches him about making him not a virgin anymore. He has penis issues or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up. Yeah, something like that. Oh, we also meet Eddie, who is Johnny's best friend.
Yes. He looks like the kid from Boy Meets World.
Corey?
Yeah, he looks like Corey. I will give everybody in this movie this. They play it pretty straight.
Yeah.
Like, they are trying really hard.
They're trying to play it as a comedy,
Only through the sound effects.
but it is dark as shit.
There's really not any comedy in it.
No.
There's just
Like, there's
really
boing
weird
noises.
Yeah, there's boing. The soundtrack throws every sound effect that they had in the library from old cartoons.
Yeah.
Even when they announced that his penis is too small, there's like a
Yeah, it's very different.
because the soundtrack, I think I wrote it down. The soundtrack sounds like the Three Ninjas, that synthesized piano and there's
can
all
kinda
those
see that.
all those boings and like you wanted to make it a comedy only through sound effects.
Yeah.
Johnny wants to date Missy and he wants to ask her out to the prom.
Yes.
He has heard that she broke up with
Bucky?
Bucky is Philip Seymour Hoffman.
No, I thought he was
Buck was Matthew Fox.
and Chuck.
Was it Chuck?
It was Buck and Chuck.
Throwing a fuck and you got a threesome. So Johnny comes with a brilliant plan where Eddie is going to pretend to be a burglar
Hmm.
and he's going to try to rob the store that Missy is the clerk at, or is the
Like a convenience store.
yeah. Before Eddie can come in, he gets mugged by an actual robber. Obviously, Johnny thinks that the burglar is his friend.
Right.
Ends up, Missy goes for a bat and he gets shot, and he dies.
Well, he dives in front of her and catches a bullet.
Well, catches with his chest.
Right. Not with like his teeth or whatever.
This is
How cool would that be?
he suddenly finds out while he's dying. He asks Missy to the dance, and she says she'll go with him to the dance.
Yeah.
They wanted this to be comedy.
It was sad.
It was gut wrenching.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm older now and it like the prospect of death seems more.
It's just not funny.
Yeah,
like
it's-
maybe because like in the past, 10 years or whatever, a lot of young people have died. And so like in like high profile ways. And so it's just not funny.
Then again, I want a time machine so I can go back in time and ask my former self if I thought that was funny.
Yeah. We're down with like dark humor. We both have kind of twisted senses of humor. Some of us more than others.
Again, I think.
But this is just not funny. It's just not.
I think if the music hadn't been working against it so hard, like if the music hadn't been like boingy 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 boingy,
Right.
I could have appreciated the dark humor of it. So Johnny then emerges from the grave,
He reanimates with Missy's rose in his hand.
which is the only reason that this film even hits the genre of horror. He goes home where his parents are reading the newspaper and they're kind of upset. A little bit upset.
They look pretty dazed.
Yeah, they look kind of upset. And then they see Johnny and they scream. And then they immediately accept it.
Yeah, the mom's like, "Are you hungry? Do you want something to eat?"
Everybody in this movie immediately accepts the fact that there is a dead person walking into their classroom.
Yeah, it's odd.
The teacher even berates him.
Right, yeah, he was late coming into class and she gives him a demerit. And she
Yes.
said, "Just because you're dead doesn't mean you can be late."
Right.
Which is so strange.
The bullies do not give a shit that this person dug himself out of a grave. After, by the way, the reason he's in that grave is because he died defending Missy.
Right.
He is a fucking hero.
Now, you wouldn't know he was a zombie if you didn't already know that he was a zombie.
Yeah, he just kind of looks
Because
goth at this
the
point.
only thing they did was put a little bit of white and green makeup on his face. And
Yeah.
that was it. He eats lunch with Eddie. He finds out that food tastes gross to him now because he's a zombie, and so he tries to bite Eddie's arm.
Yes, Eddie does not appreciate that.
No, who would?
But he's like, well, why are you so upset? I just want to take a little bite.
Again, entitlement. Entitlement. That is the definition of entitlement.
But this doesn't get him kicked out of school.
I
This
would
doesn't get
not-
him anything.
I mean, this was also the 90s. You didn't rat on your friends for just trying to bite your arm.
So he goes and finds Missy, and she is rightfully not interested in the date anymore.
Right. She said she's not going to the prom with him. He's like, well, you said we were going to. I came back to
from
the
the dead,
dead
yeah.
for you. And then she says, I'm not going to the prom with you.
Because he's an entitled piece of shit.
Exactly. Thank you. This is my point.
Right.
Men, ugh.
Just because you come back from the dead doesn't mean you get the vajayge.
It doesn't.
The fact that Chuck and Buck both are berating him gives Missy the cojones to then agree to go with him on the date. I guess to get
But
back at them.
couldn't she have just been like, listen, Chuck and Buck, I break up with you because you're being dicks?
Wait, are you saying that she was dating both Buck and Chuck?
I think they're the same person.
Do you think they are the same person?
Uh-huh. Yep, I do. I think that they are, like,
the yin and yang?
maybe Buck has, like, multiple personalities. And so, like, he becomes Chuck when he needs to take care of business.
Because he does jump out from behind him. Interesting. It's a deep dive.
Yeah, too deep, I think. Too deep.
So they go on their date.
This is where we find fucking Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, they go to the movies.
Oh, I'm so happy about this. This was the glowing beam of light in an otherwise dim and murky movie.
So they're in the movie theater watching a zombie film, but behind them is three guys, and the middle is a very, very, very young Matthew McConaughey in his very first role.
I'm so happy.
Because they cast and shot this film in South Texas,
Mm-hmm.
where he was from.
Right.
He says a total of like one line. It's like I can't believe that she brought she's
She brought
dating
the
that
dead
dead
kid.
kid. And then that's it.
Don't you make fun of Matthew
That's
McConaughey.
it. He's done for the whole movie.
But he made the whole film. Matthew McConaughey, in his one line that he had, did a better job than every person in this whole film. I maintain that. It is a fact.
This is Matthew McConaughey's first film. His second film we will be watching next week.
I'm so happy.
So their date goes well.
Mm-hmm.
And because, it's the 90s and they had a good date, she must now be completely enthralled with him.
Well, she says she doesn't really know what it is about him now that drives her wild.
Right.
Which, I mean, maybe he has like a dead animal magnetism or whatever. Like, I know that I am infinitely more turned on by dead things than I am by human living things.
You what?
You didn't know this about me?
That's your necrophilia?
I mean, that's basically what's happening in this movie. She is engaging in necrophilia.
She bites his ear off.
I mean, unintentionally. She was sucking on his ear, which I find so gross. But she was sucking on his ear, and then, like, it comes off in her mouth. She is not bothered by it. If I was touching any part of you and it came off in my mouth, done. Forever.
Right.
Done.
But it happens to her multiple times this movie. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. That was just a dream.
No, that was a
sequence.
dream.
He has a dream that night where she comes to visit him, and everything falls off. Again.
His dick falls off, like, down his pant leg and makes, like, a boing, 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 boing sound. The one-liners in this movie were actually pretty funny. As someone who appreciates a good corny joke.
I want to hate on it, but at the end, it was okay. It was an okay film.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen worse things.
Yeah. So the next day at school, he is presented with an opportunity. Chuck is chasing him down the hallway because he's been hanging out with Missy, and he's going to kill him.
Right. He gets a
Axe.
a fire axe.
And he sticks it in his own head and falls over dead.
Which feels like a really difficult thing to accidentally do.
Yeah.
To accidentally put an axe through your own skull.
I do appreciate that he says "uh-oh," because I was in a very bad car accident when I was in high school. I don't remember anything about it because I passed out. But what my friends relayed to me afterwards is that before we hit a tree, everybody was screaming, and then he said I got really quiet, and right before the tree, I went "uh-oh," and we go right into the tree.
Which I don't doubt for an instant, because you're the person that said, "Oh no," as you were like falling down a ravine or whatever.
Oopsie. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also partially like reacting when the kids do stuff. You're like, whoops, or you're like, uh-oh, or uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, or whatever.
I don't usually yell "go to timeout" though. That's not something I do on a daily basis.
With your subordinates at work, that's what
Go
you should do
to
from now.
timeout.
Do you need a timeout?
Shit. Don't make me come in there. He decides, since Chuck is already dead, he can't just leave that perfectly good pig meat laying there. He's gotta
Did
eat
you
it.
say pig meat?
I was making a reference to a book that I read to the kids. It's like leaving a ham sandwich just lying there.
Oh, the true story of...
Yeah, it fell pretty flat because nobody knows that book.
I love that book.
Uh,
I love reading it. I like to read it in my deep Southern accent.
so
It's fun.
he ate Chuck, and now everybody's so mad at him.
He didn't eat him. He just bit his tummy.
But everybody's so mad at him now. Nobody
Yeah.
understands that he.
Missy's really grossed out.
Yep.
Eddie's upset with him.
Not grossed out enough not to see him. Meanwhile, Johnny's parents are trying to adapt to Johnny's lifestyle now, and they have kidnapped a kid and want him to eat the kid.
Yeah, the mom picks up a kid from the grocery store.
Yeah. Just presents him as if like this is like, meatloaf.
Yeah.
She-
He goes to the hairdresser's and
Yes.
starts harassing her.
And she's at the hairdresser talking about how she's not into Johnny.
Yeah.
But he runs in and he says,
You may not know this, Missy, but I ate Chuck for you.
and this changes everything.
Fuck you. I mean, honest to God. Fuck you. Fuck you, Johnny. This is so fucking manipulative and gross.
The only way that she'd be like, oh my God, you're right. You did that for me, is so that she can hold him there while they call the police
Yeah.
to have them come arrest him.
He ate Chuck so that his dick wouldn't fall off, so that he could fuck her after the
You
prom.
didn't eat Chuck for her. You ate Chuck for you.
He ate Chuck for his penis.
I feel like Montel Williams.
That was it. So, did Montel Williams do that a lot? A lot of finger wagging?
Like the, calling it as it is.
Oh.
Bring him on stage and you can tell them who their real baby daddy is.
That was Maury.
Jerry Springer.
That's a different animal. Is that show still on?
I don't think so.
So,
Reba McEntire.
so she's like, let's get out of here, Johnny. And then they leave together. Fuck you, man. Stay where the people are.
Yeah.
Don't go alone with this person. He's eating your friends. Also, Missy's dad is the sheriff.
Oh, we also forgot that the doctor had tricked him into going to the doctor's loft, and he was going to cut him open to like create some kind of rejuvenation cream.
Yeah, like a fountain of youth type thing.
But Missy and Eddie saved him. The Chuck's dad's going to kill him, but Missy gets there and stops him. So they don't kill him. They decide that they're going to let him go to the prom. They make it to the prom, they're having their dance, and Johnny dies again.
Yes.
For good. But it turns out that God made a whoopsie.
I have to point something out really fast.
What's that?
While we're at the dance, they're dancing. In the background, we see
yes.
in a shiny blue dress, one Miss Renee Zellweger.
Mm-hmm. Who was also in her first film.
Because she is from Katy, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
which is in South Texas, which is why she's in this film.
So she's in this film. And Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger would team up in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, the next film we're going to be watching. So we get to do both.
Thank goodness.
We get to see film 1 and 2 together.
Thank goodness. So
which I'm going to go ahead and mark as the only reason we did this, because this film does not deserve to be in this podcast.
No, not a bit. Yes.
But they tell him in heaven that the guy was supposed to slip on coffee. He doesn't. He shoots him again. And then he knocks the copy over, and he's like, well, no, he doesn't. But it turns out he's holding on to the locket that has both of their pictures, which, by the way, he has a locket with her picture on it.
From when she was a child.
That he's wearing on his neck.
Yeah. And his picture from when he was a child.
I don't care if he stopped a bullet in front of you. That's creepy as fuck.
I mean, I don't know. I could see it being kind of endearing. If you knew a person from the time you were a little kid, and they carried a torch for you for that long, but they weren't a creepy creeper about it, you know what I mean? I could see that being really sweet. I could see it. It wouldn't convince me to date you, but I could see it being very sweet.
So he survives because the locket stopped the bullet, and now they are together. And I assume if they're not dead from old age, that they are still together today.
Well, then they go to prom together.
Yes.
And they dance, and everybody's standing around watching them dance. Like the very stereotypical... We didn't go to prom, so like I don't know if this is actually what happens at prom. Like if you take turns dancing in a circle of people that are just watching you dance.
I guess I zoned out at that point.
That's usually me.
Yeah, I was done with this film. Is this film scary?
No.
Is this film gross?
No.
Is this film good?
No. It's fine.
Eh.
I feel like we say that a lot. It's
aight.
fine.
It's good. It's okay. It's okay.
It's fine.
Does it pass the Bechdel test? Fuck no.
No, it's terrible.
I believe Misty's the only... Well, no.
No, that's not true.
But they're only talking about Johnny in the hairdressing scene.
Yeah, and whenever she and the mom interact, they never interact. Like, they have dinner with...
Hang on, I'm digesting that statement. Whenever they interact, they never interact.
When
That's a bit heady for me. That's
the mom...
mind blown.
Johnny's parents and Missy's dad have dinner together with Johnny and Missy there. There are two women in the same scene. They never interact.
Yeah.
Ever.
Never have we encountered in this entire 27 movies now that we've done something as bad as John Cusack's character from
Cell.
That is by far the worst of like not interacting with other characters in your movie.
So much so that when we had our Stephen King expert on, Matt Rushing, whenever we were doing our Shining episode, we actually had to ask him if in the book that Samuel L. Jackson and the other girl were real characters or if they were figments of his imagination, because we weren't sure.
Yeah. I read that book, but I remembered it about as well as I remembered this movie. And so the whole time we're doing that, I was like, and then this happens, right? And he's like, no, that didn't happen. I was like, oh, okay, that didn't happen. Let me move on to something else.
Through the magic of editing, Rob knew the entire plot of the book.
Yeah. Next week, we're going to be doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, which will be the final... So I was wrong when I called it a soft reboot. That movie is a spiritual successor to the original film.
Okay.
That's what they intended it to be.
A spiritual successor. What does that mean?
It means that they wanted to bypass the second and third film
Mhm.
and make it as if it was a sequel to the original film.
Good choice. I'm more than excited about this.
But you know what that means?
What?
That means Nene Macaw and
Fuck!
Samson may still be alive.
Fuck.
So
I've painted myself into a corner with this story.
we get to redo the whole second and third part.
Well, now I have a week to think about it.
Thanks to Brandon Tuzio for the theme. You can check him out at
SoundCloud.com
/ Brandon Tuzio.
or just search Brandon Tuzio on the internet and you'll find all his shit.
T to the U to the Z to the I to the O. If you want to get a hold of us, and one thing I want to try to do
Okay.
is you all know that we're going to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation. So if you want to watch it and send us your questions or something that you noticed about the film, if we get any, we'll add them to the end of the conversation next week. So if you want to tweet us at Scaredy Cat Pod, or you want to get on Facebook at Scaredy Cat Pod, and just shoot us your questions
Or Instagram, you can slide into our DMs.
with that D out.
Keep your D in your pants.
Keep your D in your M's.
M's? Oh, I get it. I don't, but okay. Keep your D in your pants and your V in your skirt. And just keep it all...
Unless you don't wanna.
Not with us, though.
Let your freak flag fly.
Keep it all neatly tucked. And just send us your question.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, it's all at Scaredy Cat Pod on any of the formats that I care to check. If
We have an
you-
email, but we never check it.
And don't give it out because I don't want to have to check it. That's it for this week. I'm Robbie saying, spay and neuter your animals. And adios, muchachos.
And I'm actually saying, only you can prevent forest fires.
Why was there a pause?
I was trying to think of something. A bear walks into the bar. The bartender says, "What can I get you?" The bear says, "I'll have a scotch." And the bartender says, "Why the big pause?" And the bear says, "I'm a bear."
What you don't know is Ashley right now is holding her hands up in the air,
It's
signifying the bear.
It's one of my
Noticing his
favorite
pause.
jokes.
All right, that's it for us.
Bye.
Bye.